Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is your cozy corner of YouTube, where nostalgia meets critical appreciation. We dive into retro gems, cult classics, and modern masterpieces that deserve a second or third look. So whether you grew up with VHS tapes stacked on your TV stand, or you're just discovering the weird and wonderful through streaming algorithms, you're in good company. Let's take a trip back to the neon-soaked pre-Y2K haze of the 1990s, a time of Tamagotchis, dial-up internet, and Saturday morning cartoons that hit different. In the golden age of animation, a handful of shows emerged that weren't just hits, they became cultural anchors, and somehow, all these years later, they're still here. Still relevant, still sparking debate, laughter, and the occasional existential crisis. Today, we're celebrating the animated titans of the 90s that refuse to die, not because they can't, but because they've evolved, adapted, and still somehow managed to feel fresh. Each of these shows have walked a wildly different path, but they've all done one thing remarkably well: stay in the conversation. So let's dive in. SpongeBob, the sponge that launched 1,000 memes. Premiering in 1999, SpongeBob SquarePants wasn't just a kid's cartoon, it was a phenomenon. Bright, bizarre, and absurdly quotable, the show exploded into pop culture like a jellyfish storm. But what's most surprising is how it stayed there. For many, SpongeBob became a shared language, a surrealist comedy wrapped in fishy antics. What makes SpongeBob still relevant in 2025 isn't just nostalgia, it's adaptability. Early seasons had that Looney Tunes energy, but as internet humor evolved, so did the show. SpongeBob's slapstick became more meta, the visuals more extreme, the references sneakier. It's practically been rebuilt to be reaction GIF fuel. And while longtime fans may pine for the Hillenburg era glory days, there's no denying its uncanny ability to connect with new generations. Even spawning spin-offs like Camp Coral and The Patrick Star Show. Underneath the goofy songs and plankton-powered plots, SpongeBob has always had heart. He's earnest in a cynical world, joyful in a sea of grumps. That's timeless, in a culture that often values irony over innocence. SpongeBob's wide-eye optimism is a weirdly subversive act. He's the square peg in a world full of rounded edges. And maybe that's exactly why he's still here. Futurama is the show that refuses to stay canceled. Seriously, it's been brought back more times than your favorite discontinued soda. Created by Matt Groening and David X. Cohen, this sci-fi satire launched in 1999, was axed in 2003, revived on DVD, picked up by Comedy Central, and most recently, re-revived on Hulu in 2023. Like the characters of parodies, Futurama keeps regenerating with new life and sharper commentary. What sets Futurama apart is its brain. This isn't just a space cartoon, it's calculus with a punchline. The writer's room was stacked with PhDs and mathematicians, and it shows. Hidden formulas, paradoxes, and existential dread are baked right into its DNA. But it's not just clever, it's deeply emotional. Episodes like Jurassic Bark and The Luck of the Fryish hit you like a photon torpedo straight to the feels. In its latest revival, Futurama somehow feels more urgent than ever. Themes of technology addiction, corporate absurdity, and climate doom aren't just sci-fi anymore. They're just the news. But Futurama handles it all with wry detachment and human warmth. It's that rare show that makes you laugh, think, and cry, sometimes all in the same scene. In a landscape full of disposable content, Futurama is the cryogenically frozen comfort food we keep waking up for. When Family Guy hit screens in 1999, it was like someone let a cartoon grenade loose in the living room. Seth MacFarlane's creation pushed boundaries in ways The Simpsons never dared, cruder, louder, and with a cutaway gag every 10 seconds. It got cancelled, then uncancelled, then renewed for what feels like eternity. And here it is, still standing, still offending, still doing Conway Twitty bits when you least expect it. What's wild is how Family Guy transformed from edgy upstart to network mainstay. Its humor is deliberately inconsistent, off the wall one moment, shock value the next. That's part of its appeal. It's chaos comedy. It doesn't care if you like it, which makes you kind of respect it. Over the years, the show's grown more self-aware, even parroting its own formula, and long history of controversy. It walks a fine line between satire and absurdity, and it knows it. Critics have long debated its relevance, but audiences keep coming back. Why? Maybe it's the comfort of predictability. Maybe it's Peter Griffin's unfiltered id running wild in a world that feels increasingly filtered. Or maybe Family Guy just scratches that itch for comedy that doesn't care about being classy. It just wants to be funny. For all its flaws, it stayed remarkably consistent in one thing: not giving a damn. In an age of carefully curated content, that's refreshing. Then there's South Park, the punk rock prophet of animation. Debuting in 1997, this crudely drawn show from Trey Parker and Matt Stone has become one of the most scathing, fearless, and weirdly prescient social commentaries of our time. Every episode feels like a dare, a challenge to the zeitgeist, and a punch in the face to hypocrisy. Whether left, right, or completely unhinged. What keeps South Park relevant isn't just shock value, it's speed. The show is famously made in just 6 days, allowing it to react to headlines in near real time. That responsiveness turns it into a kind of animated journalism, albeit with talking poop and sentient Canadians. But there's a substance behind the insanity. Beneath the fart jokes and chaos lies a clear, if cynical, worldview. South Park often says the quiet part out loud, and people keep listening. In recent years, the show has shifted into long-form specials, experimenting with continuity and serialization. It's still hilarious, still wildly offensive, but also strangely mature. The kids have grown, not literally of course, but their world feels eerily like ours. South Park remains a cultural pressure valve, letting off steam in the most ridiculous necessary ways. In a world that often takes itself way too seriously, this little mountain town reminds us that laughter is still one of the best weapons we have. So there you have it, 4 animated shows born in the 90s that still matter. They've survived cancellations, internet backlash, cultural shifts, and more than a few questionable seasons. Yet, through it all, they've kept evolving, kept poking fun at the world, and kept making us laugh, think, and occasionally cry into our cereal. These shows aren't just survivors, they're shapeshifters. Each one represents a different corner of the animated universe. The absurd optimism of SpongeBob, the cerebral heart of Futurama, the unfiltered chaos of Family Guy, and the brutal honesty of South Park. They may be relics of the past, but they've rewritten the rules for staying relevant in a world that rarely gives second chances. If you enjoyed this nostalgic deep dive and want more content that celebrates the weird, the wonderful, and often overlooked corners of pop culture, hit that subscribe button and join the crew. Drop a comment below. What other long-running shows do you think have stood the test of time? Anyways, until we meet again, keep watching, keep laughing, and remember, just because something's old doesn't mean it's out of date.